Hey everyone, it's SK Nelly. I'm the host of Change Your Love Life Summit, where world's leading love experts will show you how to completely transform your love life. And I have a very special guest today. His name is Muzik. Bruce, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. And before we dive into a very interesting topic, I would like to say some words about Bruce. Bruce is a relationship repair expert who helps couples fix their troubled marriages, also known as the couples whisperer. Bruce is the founder of Love at First Fight and is one of the best love experts when it comes to saving even hopeless case relationships. His TEDx talk has been watched more than 3 million times. That's amazing. That's amazing, Bruce. So apparently we have a really interesting guest here. And today we are going to talk about very interesting topic. So, how to fix your lonely, disconnected and unsafe relationship or save your marriage. But before we dive into this, Bruce, I would like to hear first something about you, about your journey, about your background story, so that people can get to know you and hear more about you. How did you even start this journey of helping couples fix their love lives?
Well, I started because my love life was terrible. That was what got me interested in the beginning. I was a seminar leader and trainer and motivational speaker traveling the world. I had worked with many people, and the one area of my life I'd never managed to get right was relationships. And after my divorce, I fell in love again, and I had a rebound relationship. And that one also ended badly. And eventually I started having a sneaky suspicion that perhaps the common denominator in all my relationships wasn't my partners, but was me. And so I went on a journey to discover what it was I was doing or not doing that led to all of my relationships kind of ending in a similar kind of way, or having a similar experience in all of them. And along the way, I turned to science, and I started reading research papers by some of the world's top couples researchers and relationship and marriage researchers, and I was fascinated by what I learned. I learned things like communication skills can actually be really bad for your marriage. I learned that fighting is not actually a bad thing, but it's the absence of conflict that is the number one predictor of divorce. So these were all very counterintuitive from what I'd been taught growing up. And after a couple of years of researching, I was pretty knowledgeable at that point. This was my early 30s. I'm 45 now. Mm-hmm. I was pretty knowledgeable at that point about about relationships, and people in my community started asking me for relationship advice. And after about 4 or 5 of these meetings with these couples ended in them crying in tears of happiness and telling me I should do this as a career, I started thinking maybe I should do this as a career. So I got qualified and I went back to school to study. I closed down my previous business as a motivational speaker, and instead I started working with couples and started a company called Love at First Fight. And now we work with over 500 couples every year come through our doors, and we have online courses and programs that teach people who love each other and who are struggling to get along how to do that, how to get past what I call the power struggle stage of their relationship so that they can be happy together. So that's the short version.
Amazing. It's like you have touched a topic that, no one really talks about, because there are many relationship coaches around the world. But this is something that people don't often talk about. Fight. Yeah. Love at first fight. Like, you have a special niche when it comes to couples counseling. And Well, the first question that pops into my mind is why? Why do relationships and marriages fail? What is the main reason? Because obviously you have a lot of experience in precisely in that area.
Okay, that's a fantastic question. I'm glad you asked it because not many people generally ask me that. And I think the biggest reason is a lack of education. We weren't taught how to navigate romantic relationships when we were at school. And it's assumed in our culture that you're just supposed to know how to get along with another person. And if you don't get along, it's also assumed that you've probably got the wrong partner and you should go find another one. So we're not taught, A, that relationships always go through a difficult period in between the 6 month to the 2 year mark called the power struggle. And it's completely normal and natural. And it's actually a developmental stage. It's like going through your teenage years. Well, this is your relationship's teenage years. And we mistakenly think that because we're arguing or disconnected or not able to get on the same page, that there's something wrong with our relationship or something wrong with our partner or something wrong with us. And that couldn't be further from the truth. That's not true. And I think the reason people get stuck is they stay in this power struggle stage without the tools to do anything about it until it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And they get more and more hurt, more and more shut down. They have less and less sex. They're less and less happy. And after a few years of this, they don't even want to repair a relationship anymore. They just end up breaking up, having an affair, or kind of living in separate bedrooms. Like that. So I think it's a lack of education. So what I do with my clients is not so much therapy. I start with education. And it's kind of like learning to drive a car. Imagine or remember back to when you didn't know how to drive a car. And you're sitting in the car and you're looking at all these buttons and this gear shift lever and these 3 pedals in front of you and the steering wheel, and you don't know what to do with any of them. Well, maybe the steering wheel is obvious, but the rest of them aren't. You would never in 1,000 years figure out how to use the clutch and the accelerator and change the gears. It's almost impossible. You have to have somebody to show you. And when somebody shows you, it still takes like quite a while to master it and get it comfortable. And imagine you're learning to drive a car by yourself and you can't figure it out. And you eventually go and see a psychotherapist. You say, I need therapy. There's something wrong with me. Everybody else can drive a car, but I can't figure it out. I think there must be something wrong with me. It's ridiculous to even think that thought. Of course, there's nothing wrong with you. But this is the same thing that happens in our relationships. We can't figure out our marriage or our relationship problems. And then we think there's something wrong with us or something wrong with our relationship or something wrong with our partner. There's nothing wrong with either of you. All you need is somebody to show you what you don't know that you don't know. And that's essentially how I do most of it, is helping couples see the things that they don't even know they can't see.